Oh, this is exciting, folks. We are at week 31 Scrap Masters. Are you ready to see what the dice and color wheel spinner bring us today? I certainly am. Let's get started. Oh, and that is right. Happy Friday, quilt makers, scrap masters, friends, family alike. My name is Rob Appell. Welcome to So Well. It is so great to see you for another episode of Scrap Masters. That's right, where we are randomly rolling and spinning our way through a super cool free pattern. Link in the description below. And as you can see here on the wall this week, last week, if you didn't catch the show, I'd started by building off of a darker block, a corner block, one that the Birdman didn't care for himself. I've now snuck it down here in the corner so we don't have to discuss it this week. But yeah, I started with a bright block and kind of moved my way through to show the way that we're going to be able to use our randomly generated blocks different when it comes to the final design, which is just now a few weeks away, and I am so excited about it. I continually have been working in the evenings on the black background versions of these as well. Super excited about it. You can see here are some of those other dark ones I discussed. So we'll just go ahead and get those completely out of the way as we get started here. Let's pay some bills. You know how it goes. Make sure you are subscribed if it is Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern time, and you're one of our 3,000, or I guess you don't even have to be subscribed. Chat along with us. We do it as a premiere so we can all visit. This week's theme is wisdom. That's right, not stating that I am wise, and we'll get more to that in a little bit. But yes, the theme of the week is wisdom. When we talk about the gratefulness, that'll make some sense. Don't forget, folks, I still have the wonderful newer and newest worlds. These are 9.5 yards, and it's a $50 bundle each. We have the $12 shipping going on. Yes, we survived last week's big Friday night event where we were on the bar crawl, which I was basically just a sober driver because that's what I'm best at. Oh, don't forget, we also have the super cool green or gray, or if you're interested in the Rob Appell design logo itself, t-shirts available. Those are on my website, but a link over to Sticker Mule where you can get your size printed on demand, which is really cool. We also have your color wheel spinner and dice and pattern set if you would like to go ahead and participate with your own groups of friends, make it your own game, do whatever you like as your own scrap masters. I'm going to be hitting series 3. I've got a bunch of new ideas coming up, and I'm super jazzed about those for our future. But before we get too far down that road, let's figure out what we're sewing today. Block 31, here we go. Of the free 6 blocks, which one are we using today? Ooh, it almost missed. Y'all see that? Block 1. Do I even like block 1? At this point, I think I like them all. Again, oh, I really like block 1 if I am into squares and not half square triangles. So this is going to be a quicker assembly due to the lack of half square triangles we're making. What color shall we focus on today? Red orange. Hey, finally, we're moving out of those blue purple families. So red orange, and how many fabrics do we get to use? I have, again, been integrating newer fabrics. I came back from Scrap Mountain when we did the big retreat. Of course, I'll be using my low volume neutrals from the Groundworks fabrics. But as you can see, I continually am reorganizing and resorting the tray, and I've worked through it a bunch. I built 6 or 8 new blocks in the last few days for the black quilt. So that's where a lot of the fabrics are going, and it's really fun using the same fabrics with different approaches. And man, or excuse me, ladies and quilters, gentlemen, all of you out there, it's really exciting to see the differences that are formed. Okay, how many fabrics are we using today? Oh, I almost missed again. 8. Boy, maybe I should get these glasses checked. I like this. 8 fabrics, block 1, red, orange. So with my red orange, I'm going to bring in this as my first color, my first fabric from that red orange family. And because there are so many backgrounds, and in the majority, if not all of the blocks, I have used my white spaces on the pattern to represent my low volume neutral, often the the theme fabric, the theme color, excuse me. So because there's so much white space or background space, let's add a few more fabrics to this tone. And I'm just going to bring it through and see what I like visually with it. And because there's squares, I'm also going to cheat. See, I've got a bunch of the grunge that is pre-cut down into some squares. That's got a lot of pop in there. So let's find something that's going to settle it all down. I think those three together could read very nicely as the background. And that gives me now 5 fabrics. Let's pull in a 4th just because. Oh, this will settle it nicely. Yep, there we go. Okay, so now that becomes our white spaces on the pattern, our background for today. And now that gives me 4 more. So I'll choose 2 fabrics from whatever I do color-wise this way and 2 fabrics from whatever color I do this way. Here's a block that shows what I'm discussing. And I also stayed here kind of both of them in the blue-green family. This was probably a yellow spin. And so with that being said, now let's go away from that. I'm going to refer to my color wheel. I'm going to put this orange, red-orange family here into the frame. And we know that we could be using maybe, if I had a lot of different choices, the triad. So I could use my red orange, my red violet, my yellow orange, down in here with my yellowish green, my blue violet. But that's just a lot with a little bit of space to work in. So let's stay real focused and just pull, you know me, 2 from this wonderful green family and 2 from the blue family to make up for the 8 fabrics we need. So more of this emerald green. I'm just going to lay the color wheel by it, see what my eye picks up. And I think that's going to be smashing. But did you also see how it darkened it up just a little? Oh, I hope this isn't in the way. Maybe now you can see better that how that kind of darkens it up. So then when I go into the blue family, I'm going to lean on a little bit happier blues and see how that just pretties it out. So, and then I'm just going to grab me a solid to cheat. We don't have a lot, but they do need to be half square triangles. So I need them to be my 3-inch squares. That being said, let's just go ahead and divide them out, count them out, and make it real easy on ourselves. So I'm going to need of the black color family from the pattern here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 half square triangles. So that means 3 from the 3-inch squares. And because this will help my brain, see how these are darker than these? So these will be the blacks, these will be the grays, these will be the whites today in my pattern. So let's even do it like this, right? Darkest to lightest if I'm going to read the pattern across here. So that means, again, I'm going to need 3 of these. I really, excuse me, don't want it to get super, super saturated. So I'm actually going to go with my solid down here. And it will be the same when it comes to the gray family. So now I'm going to do this, but I love this flower print and it lightens it up again. So with those, now let's get ourselves a little bit of variety by mixing in our low volume neutrals with as many different choices. And then I'm going to drop in one of my other orange fabrics here, print on print. And then let's go, excuse me, I meant to say print on solid for variety and now solid on print for variety. And that'll make up all 12 of the half square triangles needed as we go on to the machine here. But before I start sewing, let's count out our squares. They'll all be from our white families this time. So let's go ahead and just set those also aside. And now it looks like I need 4. So that should be 16. And I'm going to obviously take advantage of what I've got pre-made here as I go through. So I have 4 fabrics. Let's use 4 of each. But we won't lay it out so it gets too, what do I want to say? I want it to be organic. So I don't want to lay it out so everything's too symmetrical. Okay, let me count real quick. I look for the less than attractive 3-inch squares and I stack them attractively off of the corner so I can come in here and make 2.5-inch squares out of them. using a nice ruler, straight edge. We just cut those down. Remember, we're going through our scraps intentionally. We're trying to work through our fabric. I have a pillowcase in a trash can below me here that I set my parts and pieces into that will then be sealed up and given to a dog to sleep on. Let's go ahead and hit these half square triangles. You may have wanted to draw an imaginary. Well, if you drew it, it wouldn't be imaginary. Yeah, I've got the imaginary drawing capabilities. Diagonal line here, or use your seam tape, your guide experience. I mean, folks, I have made so many of these blocks now, it's going pretty easy. And I did start doing a webbing style of stitching recently as I pieced together these units. And I will say, after several blocks, the practice blocks, the black blocks, as well as the blocks I've been doing the last few weeks, I am loving the webbing method. I am not pressing between. I am simply going and sewing and using my fingers to allow the seams to nest, as we talk about. And I've even now gotten into it where before I wouldn't chain piece my half square triangles, but I've learned if I'll just watch my thread color on top. I use different colors of thread because I'm lazy about changing it, really. But now it's a feature, folks. This is a feature. So watch, as I spin this here, I just see I've got my green thread. So even if the next half square triangle wants to twist up, I can real quickly see and start to feed these through as well. Saving thread and a little bit of time of cutting the steps in between, and these will be trimmed down again. So accuracy is important, but not paramount at this point. So therefore, once both sides now are stitched, I'm kind of getting a twist here so that I can try to cut both threads as I go across the thread cutter. Doesn't always work. Okay, and now let's go ahead and separate our squares for our half square triangles. And I'm going to use a straight edge. I'm going to slow down and protect my hands and my work as I go through here. Yes, at one point I've talked about stacking these all and slicing through them, which you certainly can do a few at a time if you're sewing and keeping those corners pretty accurate as well. But again, if we're sewing for our pleasure, a lot of these things we don't need to rush through. And again, that would be a great way to damage a lot of half square triangles. I'm going to trim these down to 2.5 inches square using my slotted trimmer. I'm using a 2.5 inch mark on the tool right on the threads. Well, I should say slightly above the threads. Then you just trim off both edges like yay. Ooh, where are you going? And then dog ear. The tool's got slots in it, but for me, that's just a little bit hard for me to see sometimes. Or it's just a little bit faster and easier. And those dog ears also don't have to be a perfect angle to be functional for what we're doing by getting that excess out of our corners when we build our half square triangles, which is pretty cool, pretty exciting. And this is all wisdom we've learned over the years, right? So you didn't realize I was going to sneak in the theme of the day, the wisdom, which is awesome. And while I'm getting ready for this, because we're not going to have a lot of design time today, let's also discuss in our grateful list, what are we all thankful for? What are we all grateful for? And for me, my first one today is great advisors. Recently spent a couple of days with a really terrific friend of mine. And man, he's given me some real good pointers in my life. I think some things that he's really been able, he's going to help me grow. And it's just going to be amazing. And I feel so thankful for that. And I think especially for guys, I know we don't have a lot of guys watching the channel, but men's health, it's hard to find other guys to talk to about different things, you know, whether it's business, finance, pleasure, whatever, vacation spots, cool things. I think growth is really important and we're never too old to grow. And so thank you again to my fantastic advisors and friends out there for supporting me, having folks to talk to, people to give me great ideas and point me in fantastic directions. And so thank you to all of you out there for supporting the channel. Make sure you're commenting. Let us know what you like here. let us know what we can do for you. And when I say us right now, I mean me, because it's fun. Well, yeah, I have a booking manager, Sherry, who's also awesome, and a lot of fun friends, like I say, that I bounce the ideas off of. But there are 3,000 of us already on the new channel, the new brand, which I'm really loving the independence. So therefore you think I'm building my way up to being independent as number 2 on the grateful list, but that's just the daily. So I'm going to say my grateful list item for this week is being Mr. Fix-It. And I know I probably everything behind me should go crashing down and break, but I absolutely love tinkering. And so with the holiday weekend we had last, it was really fun. I had some extra time and I went out in the garage and I built a few things that I've been threatening to build for quite a while. Now, one of them though, I was feeling this terrible kinking in my neck from all the drawing I get to do for tattooing. And drawing I love to do, and reading I'll sit on the couch. And so a lot of times I'm on my iPad and I was getting this funky position going in my neck. And so there were several people, wisdom advisors, telling me, hey, you can't sit like that and draw that long. You're just going to really ruin yourself. That's not wise. So I had acquired on the side of the road, and I certainly wish I would have taken before photos. It was like a massage, like maybe a nail salon, like really interesting hardware, but the ugliest table you would have ever seen. It was covered in big pink vinyl, super foamy table, but the middle of it rotates so that you could put people's arms in different positions. So I originally picked it up thinking it might be awesome for tattooing on, or maybe my daughter's nail business, but it sat in the garage for the longest time, like maybe pushing 2 years, like in the corner, and it was starting to take up space. But I've been threatening to do something neat with it, and I realized I could build a wonderful, thin little like drafting table that would slide over my chair with that wonderful function of the rotation. So at any rate, really neat, and I am enjoying it. And I realized a week in, wow, I am not having that problem in my neck. I woke up feeling fantastic this morning, and therefore I was more excited about doing my exercises and everything. So yes, fixing that little table and a bunch of the other things around the house over the last weekend brought me so much joy. I'm so grateful and so blessed to be able to fix so many things on my own. Now, that being said, let's take a momentary pause on the grateful list and talk about pressing. Pressing matters, but for here, because if you've never seen this before, we really don't know yet where each of the half square triangles is going to end up. So let's just press them all to our darker fabrics. Today, it'll be the blues or the greens I'm using. And then we'll get back on to the grateful list. And that is Reno Quilt Show is coming up. Quilt Fest Reno, and that is June 11th through 13th is what's on the website. But I know I have other events starting. I don't know if they're pre-event classes, but I have workshops and trunk shows and meet and greets, and I'll be on the floor out there talking to folks, and I believe I'll have a bunch of my fun stuff for sale. So I'm super excited about getting ready for the show. And I should let everybody know, if you are in the area and interested, yes, I will be traveling with all of my tattoo gear, and I would love to leave my mark on a couple of you while I'm there. I have a few appointments already pre-booked, as I often do, but you can reach out to me, rob@robappell.com, or you can check me out at the Molina Studio in Morro Bay, California, and you can look at the portfolio and whatnot there, and maybe we could talk about a really cool tattoo. It does not have to be quilt related, but that is one of my specialties, is the quilt related or the geometric tattoos. And that might be really fun for all of us to do at the quilt show in Reno. So I'm really excited. And I guess the reason I'm most excited is because I have such a neat setup with the bundles of fabric that are available in the spinner, and all the patterns and stickers and all kinds of neat things. It's going to be a really fun trade show. And thank you again, Sherry, for encouraging me to get my merch in order so we can have a bunch of fun while we're there. Okay, real quick, let's take a minute and organize our half square triangles per color family. Remember? So these were going to be my black versions. These were going to be my gray versions. And let's start by building this pinwheel out of the center, following the diagram, which will be starting with a dark or a black. And this is where I want you to start to use your terms interchangeably, because now I'm talking about the black family, but you could see how if I did blacks to the darkers to the middle, and I gradiate out, and even just do something fun with the opposites or checkerboarding of the other fabric involved. This here kind of runs from light to dark. Now, technically, my guess is, maybe even especially in the cool overhead camera, is these fabrics are lighter than these fabrics. So if I really wanted a dark center to light reading gradient in the black family units, I would position my fabrics accordingly. So we can think tonality, but first just get your fabric families in order: the white, the gray, the black, and now we play at the table. Super fun. Okay, let's do the same thing here where we build with our, what I'm going to read as my darkest of the blue families. And I like how that today will bring in the low volume neutrals there. And we'll do the same thing. We're just going to let them travel so that the brighter orange red position is out in the outer edge. Double checking that all of my geese are flying in the correct directions, because I am notorious for getting a goose flying backwards. And now let's go ahead and just start to drop in the rest of our background fabrics. Oh, that's right. And I said we only needed 12, and I forgot there's 4 more needed, 8 more needed. My goodness. Okay, so I'm going to definitely need to get some more of these oranges cut here as I go to set these in here. And I'm just going to kind of visually start to play with the different colors as I go, trying to keep maybe the oranges off of the exact same fabrics as far as the opposite oranges go. One of the fun things about this grunge fabric is you can flip it over and it loses the design on the back. I need some more of this medium version of the orange in there, so I'm just going to cut that down real quick. And learning to trust your eye and read what you're seeing happen and develop is really, I think, something neat that I have learned through doing these Scrap Masters block. I think part of it is working fairly quickly, knowing you're all watching. And then also part of it is having the curated bin of scraps that I can trust. Most of the fabric choices will work well together. Making sure right now I don't have too many things going distractingly. And I do kind of like the way these darker oranges are hitting. So I'm actually going to use that to accent this line and this line here. Yeah, that helps. Okay, let's lock down a 1/4 inch seam allowance and start stitching down these blocks. And like I said before, for the webbing method, and I am yet to teach, I'm not teaching this, I'm not an expert, I'm just telling you what I've been doing lately, is I'm just going to go ahead, starting at the top of my design right now, so that I can work down this way. Again, not teaching. And 1/4 inching, needle downing. And then I'm going to work my way as I chain piece off the machine here without undoing it through all of the first row of units, or column, I should say, excuse me, the first column of parts 1 and 2s. And now that I've gone through all of those unit pieces, I'm going to go ahead and cut my thread. And I'm just going to kind of slide this all the way back. Try not to let it get too disorganized. Again, nice knowing what color thread I have on top. Now, as I flop this over, I'm going to grab column 3 and start stitching it without undoing these blocks. Still not teaching this webbing method because I don't know what I'm doing. I just know what I'm liking so far. Then I'll just keep adding on the blocks as I go, or I should say the pieces as I go. And I'm truly going to keep working this way until I have all of the pieces built kind of in this group of chain pieces, or this web, I think is how it gets its name. And it is very efficient and still pretty accurate, or definitely accurate enough for the Carefree Quilter. Once I get my last piece stitched on, then I'm just going to open it up real quick and evaluate, make sure nothing is in the wrong orientation. Easier to take it apart now and fix it, of course. Everything looks good, all geese heading in the right direction. Look how cool the colors already look, right? So then from here, I'm just going to go ahead and rotate. I'm going to flop a row over. Again, still not teaching this method. And I then finger fold for nesting, and I just make sure that in each set of columns that I'm sewing together, that I'm going to fold the fabrics all in the same direction. Easier management. So this way right now, I'm going to look at the seams heading up. Because like any nested rows, you would normally have them all heading in one direction. And it's just easier to stitch them on, and it keeps the seams folded nicely on the back, on the inside, if you're not a seam open presser. At this point, do beware you don't accidentally, connect any other parts unnecessarily. So just make sure you only are sewing the 2 layers together. Now the top edge is facing down on my seams. So this row, I'll go ahead and set it so that as I'm stitching, I just lift as it approaches the needle and foot to make sure that seam folds underneath. Cropper, lift it over. Lift it over, encourage it if necessary. And then it all seems to nest and lock together really nicely. So I'm really liking this method so far. I may start teaching it again here soon, or teaching, not again, might start teaching it sometime soon. Then what I've determined is when I'm getting ready to go to what will be, I guess, the 4th seam, adding on this 5th, I'm flipping the work over so that now I've got the bulk. It's easier to keep track of these 2 parts as I just flip them over this way. And again, just check my seams. So the backside seams will be facing up this row. So you just got to remember it once as I get started. Once it's all stitched, let's have a pressing and see what it looks like. I kind of guess I've gotten in the habit of starting in the middle seam, working my way out. And while we're wrapping up today's show on today's block, I just want to say thank you again for blessing me with your attendance, being here, being part of our community. Speaking of the community, don't forget about our Facebook group, So Well Rob Appell. Check it out. Carl, oh man, the cat man, he posted something really cool this week. He's been working on and finished up the top of a really cool foundation paper piece. I think it might have been a Legit Kits cat quilt top. Super cool. Check it out over there, or check it out right here. And thanks again for posting and being part of the community. All of you that have been working on your blocks and taking pictures, awesome. Thank you very much. Here's our block for the week, or my block, I should say. Of course, feel free to mix it up as you want, because remember, our only rule is there are no rules. We're just enjoying ourselves with our mental health as we work our way through some of our leftovers from our other beautiful quilts, kind of processing what's going to be next. I cannot wait to sew all of the seams on these blocks together, but I must wait until I have all 35 blocks. I'll make a 7x5 layout and show you how all that comes together, and it's going to be incredible. We're just a few weeks away, still keeping ready for the update on Houston. I will be teaching there at the International Quilt Festival in November, and we're hoping to have a special exhibit for our awesome Scrap Masters quilt. So thank you again for being here, folks. I am so happy to see all of you. Have a blessed weekend coming up. Make sure you keep those hands busy. Until then, stay well.